Hi, my name is Ilya, and on this channel I'll try to help you with math to make life easier for you. I'll explain some topics that I found they were hard in school for me. Alright, so the first topic is equations and inequalities. Equations is when something is equal to something. Like for example, number A is equal to number B, right? So there is an equal sign between them. And inequalities is when something is not equal to something. It may be more than, like number A may be more than number B, or number A may be less than number B. Also, there is type of inequalities when there is number A is greater than or equal to number B, and also number A is less than or equal to number B. So basically this greater than or equal is same as this. See, like greater than or equal. So we just write this to make it easier. Alright. So let's talk about equations. The x plus 1 equals 3. The simplest example. In equations, you want to solve for usually there is some kind of a variable that is represented with the letter x in this case. Alright, so to solve for, usually in equations you try to solve for the number. So here we're trying to solve for x, and in order to do that we have to remove everything on the side of the equal sign with an x away from the x. So like we have to separate the x from everything. Here it's plus 1 in this case, and move it to the other side on the equal sign. So on this side, right? So we got x plus 1 equals 3. So remember, we're trying to leave the x alone on the side on the equal sign. So to do that, we have to remove minus 1 from this side, and also we have to subtract minus 1 from this side as well. So we do that, what we get is x equal sign, then 3 minus 1 is 2. Right? Simple as that. Alright, let's try this. X plus 10 equals 27. So remember, we're trying to leave the x alone by itself on this side. So we have to remove 10 to this side, right? So to do that, we have to remove 10 from each side. Here, remove 10 from each side, and then we'll get x equal sign, and then 27 minus 10 is 17. Alright, so I get x equals 17. So this is like the only solution, like the only way that this equation will be true is when x is 17. If x was non-17, like for example 5, the equation would not be true, right? We'll have like 15 equal to 27, right? That is not correct. Also, the simpler way of doing equations, that's the one that I prefer, is like this. For example, x plus 5 equals 10. So instead of subtracting 5 from each side like we did here before, we have to flip this number over the equal sign, like move this from here to here or the equal sign, but we have to move it with an opposite sign. So we'll have x equal, then 10, and then remember we move like flipping plus 5 over the equal sign with an opposite sign. That's very important. So we'll handle this, right? Here we had +5 and here we have -5. And now you just solve for x. X equals 5, right? If we did the same thing but we subtracted 5 from each side, we'll end up in this, right? Very simple. And as you get better at doing this, you might just go like this: x plus 5 equals 10. So you'll know that you have to move +5 to the other side with an opposite sign. So you will be like in your mind, x equals 10 minus 5, so we'll have x equals 5. And as you get even better, you'll just see the equation and just will know, like, you will like do all this in your mind. It will be very helpful in high school math and other math. So next up we have, like, for example, x times 5 equals 15. So what we have to do is to do the same thing. Leave the x by itself on this side. There are two ways of doing this. First one, divide both sides by 5. You'll get these two will cancel out. You'll get x equal 3. Or the other way, as this moving, like flipping way, you have to move the times 5 to the opposite sign of the equal sign. Like, you have to do it right here with an opposite sign. So the opposite sign of plus is minus, the opposite sign of minus is plus. The opposite sign of multiplying is what? Dividing, right? So we have to, if you move multiply by 5 to the other side with the opposite sign, you'll get x equals 15. Remember, you move this in the opposite sign, so you'll get this, right? Like, you see, you flipped it over the equal sign and you got same number but with an opposite sign. You see, you have division here and multiplication here. They are the opposites, like opposite of each other. And you just solve for x here. X equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. See, you have the same answers. But different methods. I would recommend doing the flipping thing because it's easier, and well, that's how I was taught to do everything. And also, as you get better and as you do harder, like, equations, this will be very helpful to you, so you can, like, skip some steps. You have, like, multi-step equation, like 12x plus 13 divided by 7 to square root equals 7x plus 3 divided by 5 square root. You see? So you'll be able to skip some steps with that. This is just an example. Alright, last example. 21 divided by x equals 7. Right? Alright, so remember, we are trying to leave the x by itself, all alone. So what will we do? We'll, like, isolate the x, right? So to make it easier, we'll just do, actually, they're kind of bad example. Let's do this one. right? We're trying to solve for x, and we have to try to leave the x all by itself. So I have to remove this somehow from this side and move it to the other side. Right. So along this way, we can divide both sides by 20, and what we'll get is x equals 2. Alright, so let's go to inequalities. So as I said, inequality is when number is not equal to number, right? So it may be greater than, it may be less than, greater or equal to, less or equal to. Let's see. That's a greater than sign. Sorry, my handwriting is bad. Alright, so in inequalities, we also have some kind of like equations, but we don't have an equal sign like this one. We have an unequal sign. So in this case, we have a greater than sign. So which means that this is bigger than this, right? So what we're trying to do is we have to solve for x, right? And to do that, like to find out what x is, we have to leave x all by itself. So what we can do is we can either subtract 3 from both sides, we will get x greater than 2, or my flipping method is x plus 3 greater than 5. We can flip this over in the greater than sign like this, and then opposite sign, remember. So we'll get x greater than 5, same number but different sign. See, different sign, and just x greater than 2. So what does x greater than 2 mean? It means that the inequality will be true, correct, if you plug in the number for x that is bigger than 2 in this case. For example, what is a number that's bigger than 2? 5. Let's try 5. 5 plus 3 greater than 5, right? 5 plus 3, 8. Greater than 5, right? Correct. But if we do not follow these directions, and if we choose the number that is not greater than 2, for example 1, then the inequality will not be true. So we'll get 1 plus 3 greater than 5. And 4 greater than 5, right? But 4 is not greater than 5, right? So the inequality is not correct. So remember, you have to follow in these directions if you want to get the equation right, inequality right. Right, next example. 2 times x is less than 5, 6. Right. So remember, if you want to solve for x, find out what the value of x is, what the possible value of x is. All you have to do is try to leave the x by itself, kind of isolate it, and move everything else to the other side on the sign. So in this case, you can do it by dividing everything by 2. You'll get these two will cancel out. You'll get x less than, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So in order for this inequality to be true, your x should be less than 3. For example, if you pick a number that is less than 3, like 2, your inequality will be right, correct. Right? 4 is less than 6, correct. But remember, if you do not follow this, like this rule, for this particular inequality, if you pick just a random number that does not follow this rule, your inequality will not be right. For example, number that is not smaller than 3, 10. If you put 2 times 10 and equal less than 6, and 20 less than 6, that is not correct, right? 20 is not less than 6. So remember, if you want to get this inequality correct, for it to work out, you have to follow the rule for the inequality. Because if you don't, you'll get an incorrect inequality. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you have any questions or comments, just comment down below. And if you have any ideas for future videos, if you may want me to explain something to you, just write down in the comments and I'll get it. Thank you.